All right, welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live. We're still coming to you live from the Krotoa in Cape Town. That's where Krotoa's soul or spirit will be repatriated back to the Castle of Good Hope. That's the ceremony that is about to take place now. But I must indicate that with us now we have an award-winning journalist, a filmmaker and a writer, Sylvia Vollenhoven. Her book and film in development, The Keeper of the Kum, is a story of her ancestral journey to uncover hidden stories of the Bushman people. Sylvia, good morning. I don't know, the term Bushman, is it really the correct term when we refer to the Khoisan?
There's been a lot of controversy, but recently people have started to reclaim names, and this is one term. Given that English is generally hugely problematic, and so is Afrikaans often, this is one term that people are more comfortable with sometimes than San. But when it's handy, San, Khoi, Khoisan, whatever, we are talking about the First Nations of South Africa. And what is so important about what is happening here today is that this event to honor Mama Krotoa is just part of a huge revival of interest in who are we, where do we come from, and if Africa is the birthplace of humanity, then we are all children of the sun.
And you actually went on an ancestral journey to uncover the hidden stories of the Khoisan. Tell us about the journey. What prompted the journey, and how did you go about, finding out the history and also writing a book?
Well, the book didn't sort of come to me easily, and the long story is written here, and it's also a play and it's a film that we are developing. But before I talk about that, I just want to mention very quickly that it's wonderful that we're having this occasion today. It's wonderful that we are honoring such a great ancestor in such a beautiful way, but we have to remember that we can't behave as if the children of Krotoa are all extinct. They don't exist. The descendants of Krotoa and our great heroes and our First Nations are among the most marginalized and the most traumatized and of the poorest communities in South Africa. So this government and our society in general has to start looking at the issues of First Nations, the issues of these descendants of our indigenous people, and our claim to the land, our claim to a language, and our claim to recognition.
But why are they still marginalized, Sylvia? Because we once had a broadcast here on Morning Live from Platfontein in the Northern Cape, where you get the Khoisan people. And they were also saying that we don't feel like part of South African citizens. Why are they still marginalized?
Very short story is that when people came from the north, other African people coming from the north and settlers coming from other parts of the world came to settle here, our people used land in a very different way. But those coming from other parts were using land more geared towards commercial purposes. That kind of distinction and that kind of disparity that creates still stays with us today. We still treat material things in a very different way. And so while certain groups have progressed materially, other groups are left behind and marginalized. And that's the short answer.
Now, talk to us about your ancestral journey. Quite an interesting one. How did it come about?
I became extremely ill, and as a journalist and a person who admired mainstream medicine in the past, I exhausted all my funds seeking a cure. But finally I started to work with a Sangoma who said to me, you have an ancestral calling and you had better listen to it. I thought it was ridiculous. I was very, very scared. I thought where I grew up, nobody talked about ancestral callings and we didn't go and do Twasa. But the short of it is that I then started writing this book about an ancestor of mine, Kabo, who lived in the 19th century. I found a huge archive at the University of Cape Town that told us amazing stories about the belief systems before the colonials, about our poetry, our folklore, our ancestry. Everything is there, but nobody knows about it. So I started looking into my own history and Kabo's history and putting it all together. And as a result, I became much, much better, and I now can tell the story and promote it. Just an interesting thing, we are standing here at the Krotoa today where we are honoring Mama Krotoa, but when I look at the history books, it tells me this is the oldest church. Just when you acknowledge that this is the oldest church, you are saying that we didn't have churches. We had places where we worshipped. We had belief systems. We had relationships with the divine and with God. And you can't say by saying that this is the oldest church, that the colonials brought some kind of belief system that was superior.
All right, now Sylvia, unfortunately that's where we're going to leave it for this morning, but thank you so much. Quickly talk to us about the film, quickly.
The film is in development and will come out next year. The play opened at the National Arts Festival in Grahamstown. Great reviews. The book is on sale at all major bookstores and online as well. And the play is also going to Johannesburg next year.
All right, no, thank you very much. There you have it, Sylvia Vollenhoven. That's the book, The Keeper of the Kum meaning the story. What we're taking a break. Morning Live continues after this.